Hi, I'm Amanda and welcome to my new show, Stay Hungry. Today we're making cinnamon rolls because brunch is the best meal ever invented. And when I wake up, I need something decadent and amazing to start my day, and these easy homemade cinnamon rolls are so delicious and totally impressive, and all of your friends will love you if you invite them over to house. Okay. Okay, so first thing we do is we're gonna add a half a cup of sugar into our pot. So the thing about the cinnamon rolls is you actually don't need that much sugar in the actual dough because you add so much cinnamon and sugar when you roll them out on the inside that to make the dough really sweet would just be overpowering. So we're adding half a cup of sugar. We got 2 cups of whole milk. Don't use skim milk or milk that's not actually real milk. Use whole milk. And we're gonna pour this there, and then we're gonna add half a cup of vegetable oil. And the oil is just gonna make the batter and the dough really moist and give the cinnamon rolls a really good doughy texture. So this is all going into this pot. And just mix it on low heat. Okay, so now that the sugar is completely dissolved into the liquid, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for it to cool down until it's lukewarm, and then we're gonna add the yeast. Okay, so now that our liquid is cool, we're gonna bring it over here and put it in this bowl, and we're gonna add the yeast. So a few things about yeast. First of all, the liquid that you're adding it to has to be warm. It can't be too hot or else the yeast will die. Yeast is actually alive. It's a leavening agent. We're gonna add a full pack right here, and it's gonna make our cinnamon rolls rise, and it's crucial to any bread or anything that needs to grow. So we're gonna mix this together, just like this, and let it sit. Yeast has to activate. You have to activate yeast before you put it into a dough so the bread or whatever you're adding it to will actually rise. You know your yeast is ready when it's foamy and puffy and actually looks alive. To our activated yeast in our liquid, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can just throw it in all at once, and we are gonna just mix this up. If you have an electric mixer, use that, but you can do this by hand, so don't be deterred. So we're just gonna let this go for a little bit, and the dough's gonna come together, it's gonna smooth out, and you know it's done when it's smooth and kind of elastic. You might need to add a little more flour if it seems like it's a little too sticky, but you don't want to make it too dry, so just be careful and add a little bit at a time. If you're using an electric mixer, then the dough will pull away from the sides and form kind of a ball, and that's when you know you have the right consistency. You can see it pulling away from the sides and forming one big doughy mass. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a clean bowl. We're gonna take a little bit of vegetable oil, and we're just gonna put this in the bowl, and this is gonna make sure that when our dough's rising, it doesn't stick to the bowl and it can grow upwards. So just rub this around. Even coating. Take our dough. This requires some serious arm strength. It's good I go to the gym. Pull this in. You can already smell how good this is gonna be. You get that like really doughy, bready, fresh, yeasty smell. So our dough has been rising for an hour, so you can see how puffy, and it looks like our yeast has worked. So what we're gonna add is 1 more cup of flour, or about a cup. You don't have to measure all the time. And then a heaping tablespoon of baking soda, and a heaping tablespoon of baking powder. We're gonna mix this together, and then we're ready to roll. You can see, you can start with a spoon, and then you can get your hands. This is a really hands-on activity, and it's so fun. My dough's so soft. Look, you can see it here. Now we have floured our surface. Make sure it's well floured because you don't want all your hard work to stick to the table. And make sure your table's clean. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll this out. So take a nice rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a bottle of wine or a really heavy water bottle. And we're just gonna stretch this, and then we're gonna top and fill. And it's actually the coolest thing in the world. You're gonna see how these come together, and you're gonna be so amazed that you can do this at home. You wanna make it not too thin and kind of even in length. So it should be about a 1/4 inch thick everywhere around. You want it to be even. And just every so often, you might want to throw a little more flour underneath to avoid stickage. All right, we're good. So now I have a stick of melted butter. Might seem like a lot, but remember, this is for a lot of people. Butter's my favorite ingredient, by the way. And we're gonna pour all the melted butter onto this. Smooth it around, and the butter is kind of not only adds like a delicious element to the cinnamon rolls, but it's the glue for the rest of our toppings that we're gonna put on. Holds them together, makes them stick. And sometimes you don't even need all the butter. Rare. You mostly need all the butter. Okay, next, in this bowl we have a mixture of brown sugar, regular sugar, and some cinnamon. So it's like our cinnamon sugar filling, and it's gonna melt when it hits the oven and caramelize and turn into this gushing, gooey, incredible thing. And you're gonna sprinkle this all atop here. Make sure you get the sides because those end up being the inside layer of the cinnamon rolls, and you really want those to be bursting with this sugary stuff. I think that's good. Next come the raisins. Just sprinkle these around. And then, actually a little more, why not? You want to ensure that your toppings stick when you roll it in, so gently pat them in. Okay, now comes the fun part. First, you have to decide which side is going to be your inside layer. And you never want to roll from the top because that'll just make them super thick. You want to go from one of the long vertical sides. So start on one end and go along the sides. And you're slowly going to roll the entire log into itself. This is awesome. Okay, so we have a greased sheet pan right here, casserole dish. You can also do these in muffins. Now you need a serrated knife. We're gonna start here. This will be our practice one. Kind of cut the end off. And you're gonna cut down gently, and you'll see the cinnamon swirl kind of forms right there. Tuck them in. We're gonna make them nice and big. Okay, so our first pan is totally filled. Now what we're gonna do is gonna sprinkle a little extra cinnamon sugar and just pour a little more of our melted butter. Because why not, really? We're just going there, so we might as well really go there. And these are gonna hit a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes or so. Now we're gonna make the gorgeous glaze that's gonna go on top of our cinnamon rolls. And it's really simple. You're just gonna add some confectioner sugar into a bowl to about 1.5 cups, but you can do more. I like mine kind of filled with glaze, so I like to make some extra. But we're already making a mess, so I might as well keep going. We're gonna add a little bit of honey, a big squirt, which is about 1 tablespoon, and we're gonna add some milk. And you're just gonna add enough milk to make the glaze spreadable and give it the consistency you want. So you gotta add it gradually, because if you add too much, then there's no turning back. We're just gonna whisk this and it's gonna come together. You can add any flavoring you want. You can add some maple syrup or some vanilla. I'm really into the honey with the warm and the brown sugar. It just tastes so comforting and cozy. And this is the consistency you're looking for, something that you're just gonna drip over. You'll know when they're ready when they're golden and they spring back to a touch and they're not too doughy if you look in the layers. And these look done. So we have our fresh baked cinnamon rolls and now it's time for the glaze. Oh my goodness. Check that out. You can do this too and it'll only take you an hour and then you'll have gorgeous cinnamon goodness. See the whole recipe on StayHungree.com.
Straight to Flavor Town.
Actually looks.
Oh my god, this is so good.